The sun hung low over the dusty plains of Ralvan 3, casting long shadows across jagged rocks and strange, twisted vegetation. The wind was sharp, carrying with it a scent that reminded Eli of iron and smoke. The planet was quiet, almost too quiet, except for the distant cries of predators hunting in the shadows. Eli's sharp eyes scanned the horizon, his instincts humming with tension. He was not meant to be here alone, not in this part of the sector, but curiosity had drawn him. He wanted to see, to understand, to witness something new. That was when he saw her. A human, small and fragile compared to the alien life forms he was used to, was stumbling across the rocky terrain. Her movements were clumsy, desperate, as if every step could be her last. She was covered in dust and scratches, her hair matted against her forehead, and yet she did not stop. She ran toward something, Eli could not tell what, but she was clearly running for her life. And then he saw it. From a cluster of jagged rocks, a predator lunged. It was large, far larger than any earth creature he had ever known. Its claws scraped against stone as it leapt, and its eyes glowed with an unnatural green light. It moved with a fluid, deadly grace like water twisting into a blade. Eli felt his chest tighten. The human had no chance. She could not survive this. Without thinking, Eli ran. His legs carried him across the uneven ground with a speed that surprised even him. He did not pause to calculate, to wonder, to question. The human was in danger, and that was enough. The predator's claws swung at her, tearing into the rock beside her feet. She screamed, a raw, piercing sound that carried across the barren landscape. Eli felt a sharp pang in his chest. Her fear was clear, but beneath it, there was determination. She had not given up. She would not give up. Eli reached her just as the predator's claws were about to strike again. With a quick, powerful motion, he positioned himself between them. The creature hissed, a sound that shook the air, and slashed at him. Eli's own claws met the predator's, sparks flying as the impact rang through his body. Pain shot up his arm, but he ignored it. He could not afford to falter. The human froze, her wide eyes locked on him. For a moment, she seemed unsure, and Eli caught a glimpse of confusion in her gaze. He was not one of her kind, not even remotely. Yet here he was, risking himself for her. There was no time to explain, no words that could help her now. She had to trust him, and somehow she did. The predator backed slightly, surprised by Eli's strength and speed. He moved with precision, calculated yet fierce. Every strike he made was enough to hold the creature at bay, but not enough to destroy it. Eli knew he needed a plan, something that would allow them both to escape. His eyes darted around, searching for anything he could use. Rocks, sharp edges, the jagged cliffs, anything. He grabbed a piece of jagged rock from the ground and hurled it with all his strength. The predator hissed again, startled, and turned its head just long enough for Eli to grab the human's arm. "Run!" he shouted, his voice rough but urgent. Anna did not hesitate this time. She let him pull her, stumbling over the rocky ground, her legs weak from fear and exhaustion. The predator recovered quickly, however, and lunged after them. Eli's mind raced. They could not outrun it in a straight line. He needed to use the terrain to force it into a trap. He led them toward a narrow canyon, the walls towering on either side. Rocks jutted out at odd angles, creating shadows that hid them from sight. He pushed the human forward, urging her to climb over a steep ledge while he covered her. The predator followed, but in the tight space, its movements were clumsy. Its long claws scraped the rock walls, throwing sparks and causing small rocks to fall. Eli saw an opening, a small overhang that led to a higher ledge. If he could reach it, they could be safe. He turned to the human. "Almost there. Keep moving," he yelled. Her arms trembled as she climbed, but he reached down and grabbed her hand, pulling her up with a strength born from desperation. For a moment they were both on the ledge, gasping for breath. The predator stopped below, hissing and snarling, its glowing eyes fixed on them. Eli stepped forward, lowering himself into a defensive stance. He knew he could not fight it forever. He needed a distraction, something that would make it retreat or at least give them time to escape. He scanned the canyon floor and spotted a loose boulder, large and heavy. Without hesitation, he pushed it toward the edge of the cliff. It tumbled down with a deafening roar, striking the predator and throwing it off balance. The creature howled in frustration and pain, retreating slightly to regain its footing. Eli turned to the human. "Go. Go now," he shouted. She did not need more urging. She ran toward the top of the ledge, her legs carrying her as fast as they could. Eli followed, keeping one eye on the predator below. When they finally reached a safer area, he let out a long breath, feeling the tension in his body begin to ease just slightly. The human collapsed onto the ground, her chest heaving as she tried to catch her breath. Her eyes met Eli's, and for the first time she smiled. "Thank you," she said, her voice shaking but sincere. I thought I was done for." Eli nodded, feeling something unfamiliar in his chest. Pride? Relief? Perhaps both. Humans were strange creatures, fragile yet unyielding. They fought not just with strength but with courage and spirit. He had seen it in her eyes, in the way she had not given up even when all seemed lost. I am Eli," he said simply. "And you?" "Anna," she replied, still breathing hard. Her eyes scanned the horizon as if expecting another threat at any moment. I owe you my life." Eli shook his head. "No. You survived because you did not give up. That is yours alone." For a while they sat in silence, the wind whipping around them, carrying the distant sounds of other predators but nothing approaching their position. Eli watched Anna closely. She moved with care, inspecting the area, touching the rocks and ground as if memorizing it. Her eyes shone with a quiet determination that was almost terrifying in its intensity. He realized then that humans were not ordinary. They were not weak. They adapted, they endured, and they had a strange sort of resilience that even the strongest alien species might not expect. He had protected her with his strength and skill, but she had survived because of her courage and determination. The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Shadows lengthened and the temperature began to drop. Eli knew they could not stay here. Night on Ralvan 3 brought even greater dangers. He helped Anna to her feet, guiding her toward a safer area he had scouted. As they walked, Anna spoke quietly. "I never thought anyone would come for me. I thought I was alone." "You are never truly alone," Eli said. "Not while I am here." He did not tell her that it was unusual for him to care so deeply about another species. Perhaps it was instinct, perhaps something else, but he felt a connection he could not explain. The terrain became steeper, more jagged, but they pressed on. Eli kept alert, scanning for movement, for danger. Anna followed closely, trusting him completely. He noticed how quickly she learned the terrain, how her eyes caught every shadow, every movement. Her instincts, though untrained, were sharp and fast. When they finally reached a small plateau, Eli allowed himself a moment to rest. Anna sat beside him, looking exhausted but alive. Her lips curved into a tired smile. "You saved me," she said again. "I don't know how to repay you." Eli looked at her and shook his head. "You do not need to survive. That is all that matters." For the first time, Anna laughed, a soft, relieved sound that echoed across the barren landscape. It was not the laugh of someone carefree, but the laugh of someone who had faced death and emerged stronger. Eli watched her, feeling an unfamiliar warmth. He realized something that he could not explain. Humans, even when weak and frightened, carried a strength that could not be measured. They were unpredictable, bold, and unyielding. Saving her had been dangerous, perhaps foolish, but it had taught him something he could not have learned anywhere else. Night fell completely, and the stars emerged above Ralvan 3 in patterns Eli had never seen before. The wind had calmed, and for a moment the planet seemed peaceful. Anna leaned back on her hands, gazing up at the stars, and Eli found himself looking as well. He did not understand humans fully, and he might never. But he knew this: they were remarkable. Fragile yet strong, small yet capable of extraordinary things. And he had just witnessed one of the finest examples of that courage. As the first shadows of night deepened, Eli and Anna settled down among the rocks. They would need to rest to regain their strength. Tomorrow the dangers of Ralvan 3 would continue, but tonight they had survived. Together. Eli felt a strange respect, perhaps admiration, for the human beside him. She had survived not just because he had saved her, but because she had fought, because she had refused to give in to fear. And in that moment he understood something about humans he had never realized before. They were not just another species in the galaxy. They were extraordinary. And for Eli that was enough to make the risk worth it. Anna sat in the soft glow of the council room, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The walls were smooth and silver, reflecting the soft lights from above. The chamber was large, circular, and intimidating, with rows of seats curving around a central dais. People moved quietly around the edges, speaking in low tones, their faces showing curiosity, concern, and something else, anticipation. Anna's heart pounded as she waited. She had never imagined returning to Earth would feel like this, that recounting her story would put her in the middle of something so important. At the center, two figures stood out. Leo, a man with calm eyes and a serious expression, reviewed data on a glowing tablet, while Mira, a woman with sharp features and a commanding presence, observed Anna with quiet intensity. Both of them were members of the Earth Council, the leaders who made decisions about Earth's interactions with the galaxy. And now they were listening to her, waiting for her story. Anna's mind replayed every moment she had experienced on Ralvan 3, the predator's hiss, the sharp rocks under her feet, the terror that had made her chest burn. And of course she remembered Eli, the alien who had risked his life to save hers. She swallowed hard and began to speak, her voice low but steady. I don't know how to explain it, she said, her hands trembling slightly. The planet was dangerous. I thought I wouldn't make it. Eli appeared. He saved me. He risked himself for me and I don't even know why. I don't know if aliens like him do this often or if I was special somehow. But he saved me. That's all I can say. The room was silent for a moment, the kind of silence that carries weight. Everyone leaned forward, listening to her words. Then Leo spoke. His voice was calm, measured, but it carried an unmistakable edge of surprise. This creature saved one of ours, he said, pausing to let the words settle. That makes it part of the galaxy's story with humanity. Not just the story of a human, it is now part of the story of us all. Whispers ran through the council chambers. People exchanged glances, some of them nodding, others frowning, trying to comprehend the implications. Anna noticed how even the most experienced council members were taken aback. To them, humans had always been careful, cautious, not reckless. But here was proof that humans could inspire even alien species to act. Mira stepped closer, her eyes studying Anna with intensity. Tell me everything, she said. From the moment you landed on that planet to the moment Eli saved you. Leave nothing out. Anna took a deep breath and began again, recounting every detail. She spoke of the barren landscape, the jagged rocks, the way the sun reflected off the sharp cliffs. She described the predator, its size, its claws, its glowing eyes. She spoke of fear, exhaustion, and the moments when she thought she would not survive. And then he came, she said softly. Eli. I don't know what kind of being he is, but he was fast, strong, and fearless. He fought the predator, kept it away from me, and I don't know. I just ran when he told me to, and somehow we survived. Leo and Mira exchanged a look. It was brief but loaded with meaning. They both understood immediately that this was not just a tale of survival. This was proof that humans could command respect in ways no one had fully appreciated. Mira leaned forward. Do you know why he saved you? She asked. Anna shook her head. I think he acted because he recognized courage. Maybe he saw something in me he respected. I don't know if aliens feel that way, Anna admitted. I just know he didn't hesitate. He saved me without asking questions. The council members nodded slowly. Leo tapped his tablet, and a holographic display appeared above it. Images from Ralvan 3 floated in the air, shadows of the canyon, the jagged rocks, and the predator itself. Anna saw herself running across the screen, small and fragile, and then Eli, larger than life, standing between her and death. Look at this, Leo said, voice low but firm. Notice the timing. Notice how he acted instantly, without hesitation. This is not common behavior, not for alien species we've encountered. Something about humans, about you, elicited action. That is extraordinary. Anna swallowed hard. She had never thought of herself as extraordinary. She was just a human trying to survive. But seeing Eli's actions in this context made her heart ache with pride and fear at the same time. She had been at the center of something much larger than herself. Mira studied the images silently, her face unreadable. Then she looked at Anna. We need to consider the implications. This is more than just a rescue. If an alien being risks itself to save a human, what does that say about our position in the galaxy? Our reputation? Our influence? Anna shook her head slightly. I didn't think about that. I was just trying to survive. Leo's eyes softened. Sometimes, survival is enough to send a message. Sometimes the smallest act carries the largest weight. He paused, then added, this changes how other species will view us. Not just humans but Earth. Our actions ripple across the stars, Anna. And now so does yours. Whispers of fascination and awe spread further. Council members began discussing the potential diplomatic, strategic, and political outcomes. Some spoke of treaties, others of caution, but all agreed that the story of Eli and Anna would become an example, a benchmark for what humans were capable of inspiring. Anna felt a shiver run down her spine. She had never been part of anything like this. She had not sought attention or power or influence. She had only wanted to survive. Yet here she was, at the center of a council chamber, her experience shaping Earth's future. Leo stood and addressed the chamber. We must remember one thing. This is not just a tale of survival. This is a testament to human courage, to our capacity to inspire even the most distant and alien species. Eli acted because one human showed determination, resilience, and bravery. That is the kind of spirit we must carry forward, not just in stories but in action. The room fell silent once more. Anna realized that everyone was looking at her differently now. She was no longer just Anna, a human who had been rescued. She was a symbol, a spark that could ignite change across galaxies. Mira approached her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You did not just survive. You made a difference, Anna. You showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Never forget that. Anna felt a swell of emotion she could not name. Pride, fear, awe, all mixed together. She had never imagined that surviving an alien predator could lead to this. She had survived, yes, but more than that, she had proven something fundamental about humanity. Leo glanced at the council once more. Prepare a formal record of the event. Document every detail, every moment, and every action. This will not only serve as a historical record but also as a guide for future interactions. We must understand why this happened and how we can build upon it. Humans have a chance now, an opportunity to shape the galaxy's perception of us. And it starts with what you experienced, Anna. The council members nodded, their focus shifting to tasks, documents, and communications. Anna was allowed a moment to breathe, to let the weight of what had happened sink in. She leaned back in her chair, still processing, still amazed. She had survived a dangerous planet, been saved by an alien, and now her story was changing the way Earth would interact with the galaxy. As she looked around the chamber, she realized something else. Eli had not acted out of duty, obligation, or expectation. He had acted because he had recognized something uniquely human in her. Courage, willpower, the refusal to give in to fear. That was something no one human or alien could ignore. Anna smiled faintly to herself, thinking of Eli, alone on that distant planet, watching over her. Somewhere in the stars, he had made a choice that would echo across the galaxy. And here on Earth, that choice was being recognized, documented, and celebrated. For the first time, Anna understood that her survival was not just about living. It was about proving something larger, that humans, even fragile and small, could inspire the universe. That even a single act of bravery could ripple outward, touching distant worlds and shaping the decisions of those in power. The council session continued, but Anna felt a quiet calm settle over her. She had faced death, been saved, and now she was part of something greater than herself. Her story would be remembered. Her courage would matter. And for Anna, that was more important than anything else. The news traveled faster than anyone expected. Across the galaxy, across countless systems and star clusters, the story of a single human rescued by an alien was spreading like a spark through dry brush. Aliens of all kinds, winged, scaled, or otherwise, heard whispers of it in crowded spaceports, over encrypted transmissions, and even in casual chatter among crews of interstellar freighters. Many laughed at first, assuming it was exaggeration, a tale made larger than it was. Humans were small, fragile, slow compared to most species. They were not warriors. They were not explorers of dangerous worlds. They were humans. But doubt began to grow. If a single human had survived the harsh deserts and predators of Ralvan 3, aided only by an alien, what else could they endure? Could they survive planets no one else dared approach? Could they overcome enemies with strength, cunning, and cruelty unmatched in the galaxy? In one of the largest hubs in the Andari Belt, a council of alien species gathered. The chamber was massive, circular, and dimly lit, with floating lights hovering like stars over polished obsidian floors. Every species had its seat here, from the spindly Thryni with transparent skin to the broad, armored Krell with horns curving over their heads. They all had heard the news, and many had brought reports from scouts, freighters, and explorers. Milo, a human council advisor, sat at the edge of the gathering. He had been one of the first to study Anna's report in detail, reviewing every image, every transmission from Ralvan 3, and every word from Eli. He leaned forward, his hands pressed together as he addressed the council, his voice calm but firm. "We underestimated them," Milo said grimly. "We may have to rethink everything." Whispers erupted immediately. A Thryni delegate clicked its mandibles in confusion. "Rethink? Humans? They are barely known beyond their own system," it said. Its voice was high-pitched, almost nervous. "You exaggerate, human advisor. One event does not prove anything." Milo shook his head. "This is not exaggeration. The humans survived against a predator far stronger than any creature of similar size. Not only that, but the rescue by Eli, the alien, shows that humans can inspire action, even in beings we once considered detached or indifferent. They have courage, adaptability, and determination unlike anything recorded before. A Krell delegate banged its chest with a fist. So what? They are still small, weak, defenseless. One survival does not a species make. Perhaps, Milo replied, but this species is not predictable. They learn fast, they adapt, and they inspire loyalty in beings that normally do not care about humans at all. That alone is enough to make us cautious. The council murmured. The alien delegates began exchanging worried glances. No one could deny that survival on Ralvan 3 was difficult. The planet was harsh, unyielding, and dangerous, home to predators that could shred even fully armored explorers within seconds. For a human to survive and be rescued intact was unexpected. Milo tapped the holoscreen in front of him, bringing up images of Anna and Eli on the canyon ledge. The predator's claws were caught mid-swing, the tension of the scene frozen in time. Look at this, Milo said. A human nearly helpless by all measures, confronted by a creature that would kill most other species easily. Yet they survived. And not only that, they earned the protection of an alien capable of defending them against impossible odds. The room fell silent again. No alien delegate spoke for several moments. Even those who had previously laughed looked at the images closely, noting the human's posture, her alertness, and the precision of her movements despite exhaustion. It was remarkable. One small, furry alien from the southern clusters, barely taller than a human child, piped up nervously. Are we sure this human is not some genetically enhanced experiment? Perhaps their species is weaker in general, but some anomaly survived. Milo shook his head firmly. No, this is not an anomaly. It is one individual, yes, but every report we have, every human we have studied, shows patterns of courage, ingenuity, and determination. They are unpredictable. They are resilient. That is why even one survival carries weight in the galaxy. The Krell delegate snorted, folding its massive arms. So you are saying a single human's bravery can change how all species see them? Absurd. One success does not guarantee future victories. Perhaps not, Milo said evenly, but it does force us to reassess our assumptions. Every species in this council has made the mistake of underestimating humans before. And every time that mistake has been costly. The chamber fell into a tense silence. Aliens who had long dismissed humans now studied them with a new wariness. Something about the combination of courage, adaptability, and unpredictability created a new kind of threat. Not a threat of brute force but a threat of ingenuity and spirit. Milo continued, his voice firm, carrying across the chamber. Humans are not like other species. They are not predictable. They do not act according to logic, fear, or tradition alone. They act based on willpower, determination, and a sense of loyalty to their own. That is what makes them dangerous and admirable. The Thryni delegate's mandibles clicked sharply. Dangerous? Admirable? This is nonsense. They are small, fragile, limited in technology compared to most species here. Yes, Milo said, but they survive. Against the odds. Against predators, environmental hazards, and even against alien forces who would underestimate them. That is something to respect, if not fear. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some species argued that humans were not a true threat. They were too small, too weak, too young in interstellar affairs. Others argued that even a small species with determination could alter galactic politics. For the first time, the word human was spoken with seriousness rather than amusement. Milo listened, noting each argument, each doubt, each moment of hesitation. This was exactly the reaction he had hoped for. Humans were being noticed. They were being recognized not as weaklings but as something unusual, something remarkable. Far across the galaxy, in the bustling ports of the Traylon cluster, alien scouts reported the same news. Merchant vessels whispered it, smugglers passed it along, and even soldiers in the fleet of the Zorvan Empire muttered the words with unease. A human survived Ralvan 3. Some laughed nervously. Some scoffed. But the seeds of doubt had been planted. Across systems, alien species began to reconsider their assumptions about humans. They had long dismissed Earth and its people, labeling them weak, primitive, and inconsequential. But now the story of one human's survival, and the alien who had chosen to save her, forced them to reconsider everything. In the quiet of his private chambers, Milo reflected on the unfolding events. He knew the galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. For centuries, humans had been treated as insignificant. Yet here was evidence that even a single human could inspire action, survive impossible odds, and force the galaxy to take notice. This is only the beginning, Milo murmured to himself. If they survive this, what else can they do? What other challenges will they overcome? And how many more will follow their example? Meanwhile, Anna's story was broadcast discreetly to various intelligence networks, accompanied by the images of Eli and the Predator. Scientists analyzed it, military leaders studied it, and diplomats debated it. Every system that received the report found themselves asking the same question. What kind of species could survive this and continue to thrive? Across star systems, across millions of kilometers of space, humans became a topic of discussion. Not as weaklings, not as prey, but as a species capable of inspiring, surviving, and overcoming challenges that others would never dare face. The galaxy was taking notice. And somewhere on Ralvan 3, Eli looked up at the stars, unaware that his decision to save Anna had caused ripples that now stretched across the galaxy. He had acted without thought for politics, without concern for recognition. And yet, because of one choice, humans were no longer invisible. They were being noticed, and perhaps for the first time taken seriously. The council chamber in the Andari belt continued to debate, but Milo could already feel the shift. Humans were no longer to be ignored. They were a factor in galactic calculations, a species that others would now watch, study, and, perhaps, fear. One survival had changed everything. And for Milo, for Earth, and for humans like Anna, that was only the beginning. The spaceport was alive with activity. Lights blinked on the enormous docking bays as Earth's fleets prepared for departure. Every ship, from small scouts to massive warships, gleamed under the artificial sun. Engineers ran along catwalks, technicians checked systems, and soldiers moved with quiet precision. The air hummed with tension and energy. Something rare was happening. Earth was mobilizing not just for defense but to assert itself across the stars. At the command center, Terra stood at a holographic display, her fingers tracing the movement of ships and targets. Her eyes were sharp, her mind faster than most. Beside her, Jonah monitored communications, coordinating with every sector, every ship, every fleet captain. Together they had led countless drills and missions, but nothing had prepared them for this moment. This is unprecedented, Jonah said quietly, almost to himself. A single human rescue, and now Earth mobilizes as a single force. No hesitation, no debate. Terra nodded, her expression tight with focus. That's humanity. When one of ours is threatened, the planet acts. Not slowly, not carefully, but decisively. We cannot ignore threats, not ever. In orbit above Earth, Eli watched silently. He had been brought aboard a reconnaissance vessel to assist in communications and provide insight on alien behavior. From the observation deck, he could see the fleet. Hundreds of ships, sleek and deadly, engines humming like a chorus of mechanical beasts. Even the largest alien fleets he had encountered were less organized, less unified. The humans were moving with a purpose that surprised him. They are united, Eli murmured, more to himself than anyone else. One species, working together like this. Incredible. Jonah overheard him and gave a small, grim smile. That's what happens when survival is at stake. You don't argue or hesitate. You act. Terra's fingers danced across the display, selecting targets, plotting courses, and sending commands. We have intelligence on several systems where humans or human outposts might be threatened, she said. We cannot wait for them to be attacked. We will strike preemptively, disable any force that might endanger our people. Precision is key. No unnecessary casualties. But no hesitation either. Eli watched as the first ships powered their engines and left the docking bays. The fleet moved as one, a single organism of steel and fire. Smaller ships broke off, scouting ahead, while the larger battleships took positions in strategic formation. Every movement was precise, every maneuver planned yet fluid. It was not chaos, but a living, breathing example of human coordination. He had expected fear, hesitation, maybe confusion. Instead, he saw determination. Humans did not wait. Humans acted. And they acted decisively. The fleet entered hyperspace, leaving the familiar blue and green of Earth behind. Eli observed the patterns, noting the careful balance between speed, protection, and tactical advantage. Every human ship seemed aware of the others, their pilots anticipating actions and reactions in a way that suggested instinct as much as training. This is remarkable, Eli said quietly. They move as if they are one. Every ship, every pilot, every officer anticipating threats, reacting before they even appear. Tara, monitoring from her command station, heard him. "We are only doing what must be done," she replied. "We protect our own. That is all that matters." Eli's gaze drifted to the holographic display, showing the first systems they would reach. Planetary defenses, alien patrol routes, asteroid belts used as cover. Humans had studied every detail, every possible contingency, and incorporated it into their plan. The precision was startling, the scale of coordination beyond anything Eli had imagined. The first encounters began quickly. Scouts reported alien ships in a nearby system, small but aggressive patrols attempting to intercept the fleet. Tara gave orders calmly, each command crisp and clear. Intercept. Disable weapons first. Avoid hull breaches unless necessary. Protect our own. The humans engaged and the results were swift and decisive. Alien patrols attempted to attack, but the human ships moved with precision, disabling engines, cutting communications, and forcing them to retreat without major destruction. It was a display of strategy and skill that impressed Eli more than brute strength ever could. "Why don't they just destroy them?" he asked Jonah, still watching the battle unfold. "Because that's not the point," Jonah replied. "We show power but we also show control. We decide when and how to fight. We are not reckless but we are relentless. That is the difference." Eli nodded slowly, understanding. Humans were unpredictable not because they were chaotic, but because they combined careful thought with bold action. They could be ruthless if needed, but they were intelligent in their ruthlessness. That combination made them dangerous in ways he had never experienced with other species. As the fleet moved deeper into the contested systems, they encountered stronger forces. Larger alien warships attempted to intercept the humans, expecting hesitation. They were wrong. Human ships formed a tight formation, using the terrain of asteroids and planetary rings for cover while delivering precise strikes to disable enemy engines and weapons. Eli watched in awe. He had seen fleets before, but none had this adaptability. When one ship was hit, others immediately compensated. When a new threat appeared, humans reacted before the enemy could adjust. It was almost like a living organism, each part connected, aware, responding instantly. Amid the battle, communication came through from the front lines. "We have sighted civilians at risk on Zyra 7, a pilot reported. Requesting immediate permission to engage and secure the area." Tara gave the order instantly. "Move in. Protect them. We will not lose one of our own." Eli's eyes widened. The speed and decisiveness were astonishing. While other species might debate, delay, or negotiate, humans acted immediately. And they acted not only for strategy but for loyalty and care. This was not just war, it was a display of humanity's willingness to protect their own at any cost. The battle on Zyra 7 was over in less than an hour. The alien forces were disabled, civilians evacuated, and no human lives lost. Tara and Jonah coordinated with relief teams, ensuring that all affected areas were secure. Eli took note, impressed by the level of organization. Other species might have left survivors behind, focusing only on victory, but humans were different. They measured success not just by enemy defeat but by protection of their own. As the fleet regrouped, Eli reflected on what he had witnessed. One act of courage, the rescue of a single human, had triggered this massive mobilization. Entire star systems had been analyzed, fleets deployed, and lives protected. And all because humans did not wait. They acted boldly, decisively, and with unity. Jonah approached him quietly. "Impressive, isn't it?" he asked. Eli nodded. "I've seen many species fight, many strategies, but nothing like this. You are unpredictable, relentless, and united. I understand now why some in the galaxy are starting to take humans seriously." Tara's voice came over the intercom, calm but firm. "This is only the beginning. Every system that threatens our people will be addressed. We will continue to act decisively, strategically, and without hesitation. We are human and we protect our own." Eli looked out of the observation window as the fleet moved to the next system. He thought of Anna, the small human who had started this chain of events, and realized that the courage of one could indeed inspire the action of many. Humans were capable of more than he had imagined. Their spirit, their unity, their willingness to act for one of their own, it was a force that could not be ignored. And as the fleet entered the next hyperspace jump, Eli understood something fundamental. Saving one human had not just been an act of compassion. It had triggered an entire civilization to reveal its true strength. Bold, unpredictable, intelligent, and united. The humans were no longer just a species. They were a force. The stars streaked past the observation deck as Eli watched silently. Somewhere in the galaxy, the alien races who had dismissed humans would soon learn the same lesson. Humanity acted not out of fear, not out of pride, but out of loyalty, courage, and a relentless drive to protect its own. For Eli, the realization was staggering. He had acted to save a human without expecting anything in return. And now, the ripple of that single act had mobilized an entire civilization. The galaxy was beginning to notice humans, and it would never be the same again. The galaxy had taken notice of humans. Alien fleets that had once dismissed them as weak now moved with caution, studying every maneuver, every signal, every action. But humans did not wait for caution to take effect. They acted. They struck back with precision, ingenuity, and courage that few species could imagine. Anna stood on the bridge of a human frigate, her fingers brushing over the controls with confidence. The small scars on her arms and the tight set of her jaw told the story of someone who had faced danger and survived. No longer the frightened human rescued by Eli, she had trained for months, learning tactics, survival strategies, and combat skills. Now she was ready to lead, to fight, and to prove that humans could not be underestimated. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but firm. A young officer at the console replied quickly. "Sensors show an alien warship approaching from the western quadrant, Captain. They are heavily armed, faster than our scouts predicted. They are moving to intercept our convoy." Anna studied the holographic map, her eyes narrowing. The enemy was large, confident, and clearly expecting the humans to retreat. That was a mistake they would regret. "Form squads," Anna ordered. "We will not meet them head-on. Split into small teams, use stealth and terrain. We hit their weak points, disable their engines, and retreat before they can react. They think they are stronger. Let's show them they are not." The small squads moved out in precise coordination, slipping through asteroid fields and using planetary rings for cover. Each human squad was small, nimble, and trained to adapt. Unlike larger alien forces, humans could improvise, think quickly, and act unpredictably. Anna led one squad herself. They approached the enemy warship from behind a dense asteroid cluster, cloaked by shadows and distance. Her team moved silently, their communications minimal, their focus absolute. "Remember," she whispered, "we are not fighting blindly. Observe, adapt, strike where they are weakest. Timing is everything." The warship's sensors were powerful, but the humans had planned for that. Using the asteroids to mask their movement, they closed the distance without being detected. Anna's heart pounded, but her mind was clear. Every move had been rehearsed. Every contingency considered. Suddenly, the alien warship shifted its shields, scanning the field more aggressively. One of the squad members hissed, "They see us. We are detected." Anna remained calm. "Stick to the plan," she said. "They may see us, but they do not know where we are going. Trust the shadows. Trust your instincts." Using a combination of decoy drones and sudden maneuvers, the squad slipped past the initial defenses. Anna's hands moved quickly over the control panel, targeting the ship's engines and shield generators. Explosions erupted silently inside the ship's hull as small, precise charges took effect. The alien warship shuddered. Alarms blared inside its bridge. Its crew scrambled, attempting to regain control, but the humans had anticipated every reaction. Each squad struck in sequence, creating confusion, panic, and disorder. Anna's squad moved in closer, planting the final charges near the main engine. She glanced at her team. "Ready?" They nodded. Anna triggered the sequence. A controlled explosion rippled through the warship's engines, disabling it completely. Smoke and sparks erupted from the hull, and the massive ship drifted, unable to move or fight. "Mission accomplished," Anna said quietly. Her team cheered softly, but she held up a hand. "Not yet. We retreat before they recover. Stay sharp." The human squads withdrew into the asteroid field, moving quickly and silently. The alien forces scrambled to respond, but by the time they could, the humans had vanished, leaving only the disabled warship behind. Back on the bridge of their main ship, Anna and her team received congratulations from the fleet command. Tara's voice came over the intercom, calm but proud. "Excellent work, Anna. You and your squad have proven once again that humans are not to be underestimated. Strategy, courage, and adaptability, these are our greatest weapons." Anna allowed herself a small smile. She thought of Eli, the alien who had saved her months ago. It was because of his act of bravery that humans had begun to show the galaxy their true strength. And now, she was leading the charge, proving that human courage and ingenuity were unstoppable. Meanwhile, Other human squads carried out similar operations across different sectors. Small groups outsmarted far larger alien forces, ambushing them in asteroid belts, disabling weapons, and retreating before the aliens could respond. Each victory, though minor in scale compared to massive fleets, sent ripples of fear and confusion through enemy ranks. The aliens had expected humans to act cautiously, to retreat, to survive but not to strike. They had been wrong. Milo watched the reports from the command center, a smile on his face. They learn fast, he said to himself. And they fight smarter than anyone anticipated. One alien commander, speaking through a translator to his fleet, was less amused. How can such a small species disable our warships? They should be defenseless. Milo shook his head. That is exactly what makes them dangerous. They are clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. Never underestimate a human, not again. In the chaos of battle, Anna and her squad moved with seamless coordination. Each member knew their role but could adapt instantly to new threats. Explosions rocked the empty corridors of abandoned stations and asteroid mines, but the humans moved like shadows, striking where it mattered most. At one point they encountered a group of alien fighters attempting to flank them. Anna quickly devised a plan. Split into 2 teams. I'll draw them toward the canyon edge. The others hit from above. The maneuver worked perfectly. The aliens pursued Anna, thinking her squad was isolated. When they reached the canyon edge, human drones exploded in precise formations, creating barriers and confusion. The remaining squad members attacked from above, taking control of the battlefield without a single human casualty. Anna felt a thrill. Every victory, every successful mission strengthened the human reputation in the galaxy. They were no longer small and fragile, they were smart, resourceful, and brave beyond measure. Back on the command ship, Terra observed the unfolding operations. Every human squad we deploy proves the same thing, she said. We are not just survivors. We are fighters, strategists, and innovators. The galaxy will learn to respect us, or fear us. Eli, standing quietly in the observation deck, watched the screens with awe. Humans were unlike anything he had encountered. Saving Anna had been an act of instinct and compassion, but watching humans fight, plan, and adapt, it was a revelation. One species, small and fragile, yet capable of outsmarting, outmaneuvering, and overcoming forces far stronger than themselves. Anna's squad returned to the fleet base, weary but triumphant. She looked around at her team, proud of their courage and skill. You all did amazing, she said. We showed them that humans cannot be ignored, underestimated, or defeated easily. This is only the beginning. We will keep proving it again and again. The galaxy began to respond. Alien species who had mocked humans now hesitated, reconsidering strategies, recalling fleets, and analyzing tactics. Even the largest empires began to acknowledge that humans were more than a simple, fragile species. They were clever, courageous, and unpredictable. And at the center of it all stood Anna, once the human who had been rescued, now a symbol of human bravery and ingenuity. She had faced death, learned from it, and returned stronger. She had led missions that turned the tide of battle and proved that humans could not be dismissed. Eli looked at her quietly, realizing that saving one human had triggered a ripple that changed the galaxy. Anna and her squad were living proof that humans were not only survivors but fighters who could challenge any force, outsmart any enemy, and inspire a civilization to unite and strike with precision. The human forces continued their campaign, small squads striking with precision, larger fleets supporting them strategically, and leaders like Terra, Jonah, and Anna orchestrating every move. The galaxy began to understand that humans were a force unlike any other. And for Anna, each mission was a reminder of what it meant to be human, to survive, to fight, to protect, and to inspire. The species that had once been dismissed as fragile and weak now stood strong, clever, and fearless. And the galaxy would never forget it. The stars were quiet that night, but across the galaxy, whispers of humanity traveled faster than light. Systems that had once ignored Earth, dismissed its people as weak, or laughed at the idea of humans surviving in space, now spoke cautiously of their strength. Reports of small squads outsmarting larger alien forces, of fleets moving with unmatched precision, and of humans showing loyalty and bravery that no one expected, had spread far and wide. Eli stood on the observation deck of a human battleship, looking out at the endless stretch of stars. Months ago he had come to Ralvan 3 as a scout, encountering a human in need. That small decision, choosing to save Anna, had set off a ripple across the galaxy. What he had witnessed since then was beyond anything he had imagined. Humans, small and seemingly fragile, were now a species that others approached cautiously, not because of fear alone, but because of respect, curiosity, and perhaps even awe. "They are remarkable," Eli murmured almost to himself. He could see the fleets below, moving with precision, preparing for their next operations. Small squads ran training drills, ships were maintained and upgraded, and commanders planned strategies as though they were a single organism. All this, because of a single act of courage, a single human who survived and returned. From behind him a soft voice spoke. "We always stand together." Anna stepped onto the observation deck, her uniform crisp, her expression calm but resolute. She had grown stronger since her rescue. Her once hesitant movements were now precise, her eyes alert and calculating. Yet there was warmth in her gaze as she looked at Eli, the alien who had started it all. Eli turned toward her, surprise and respect in his eyes. You have changed," he said. "Not just you, the entire species. I never imagined humans could organize, fight, and adapt like this. You are extraordinary." Anna smiled faintly. "It's not just me. It's all of us. We look after each other. We fight for each other. That's what makes us strong." Eli nodded slowly, absorbing the truth in her words. He had thought strength was measured in size, power, or technology. But humans had proven him wrong. Their strength was in courage, in ingenuity, and in unity. They could be small, fragile, and unassuming, and yet, together they were unstoppable. Across multiple star systems, alien observers took note. Ships that had once patrolled boldly now hesitated, scouts reported movement with caution, and commanders considered humans as a serious factor in their calculations. Intelligence networks buzzed with the stories of small squads disabling warships, of fleets protecting distant colonies, and of humans refusing to back down even when vastly outnumbered. In the Human Command Center, Milo studied reports streaming in from the outer systems. "They are responding differently," he said to Tara and Jonah. "Aliens who once mocked us now send scouts carefully, double-check their communications, even delay attacks. The galaxy is starting to understand our strength." Tara nodded, her expression calm but proud. "Humans are unpredictable. We act when others wait. We adapt when others cling to routines. We protect when others hesitate. That is what makes us dangerous and respected." Jonah added, "It's not just power. It's strategy, courage, and unity. Every alien that underestimates us learns that the hard way. And every human who survives, fights, and leads reinforces that reputation." Eli studied them quietly. He had observed many civilizations in his time, but none had this combination of spirit and resolve. Humans were like no species he had ever known. One moment they seemed fragile. The next they were unstoppable. He realized that saving Anna had not only saved one life, it had shown him the potential of an entire species. Back on the observation deck, Anna and Eli watched as a small human fleet approached a contested system. The squad leaders communicated in tight coordination, moving through asteroid fields and planetary orbits with precision. Eli marveled at their discipline, their adaptability, and their courage. "Every mission, every squad, every ship matters," Anna said softly. "We don't fight for glory or power. We fight to protect our own. That's why we succeed. That's why the galaxy notices us now." Eli nodded. "It is beautiful. You are strong not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because of your will. And because you fight together. That is true strength." Meanwhile, on distant planets, alien fleets debated humanity's new reputation. A commander of the Krell system growled, "They are small, yet they strike with precision. They adapt faster than expected. We cannot predict them." A Thryni diplomat clicked nervously. We must approach cautiously. Underestimating humans is no longer an option." Even the Zorvan Empire, known for its arrogance and confidence, began to reconsider strategies. Reports of human squads disabling warships, protecting colonies, and acting decisively forced commanders to adjust their calculations. Humans were no longer insignificant. They were clever, brave, and united. Back aboard the human flagship, Anna led a small team through a tactical simulation. Her squad moved like a single entity, each member anticipating the other's moves, improvising when the situation changed. Every strike, every maneuver, every decision reinforced the galaxy's new understanding. Humans were a species not to be underestimated. Eli watched silently, his admiration deepening. He remembered the moment on Ralvan 3 when he had seen Anna struggling against the Predator. At the time he had acted out of instinct, not expecting recognition or reward. Yet now, months later, that single act had triggered ripples across the galaxy. Humans had grown stronger, more organized, and more respected. Anna turned to Eli. "You see what happens when one human is protected?" she asked. "When we save each other, when we fight together, the galaxy has to notice. That's our strength." Eli smiled, a mix of pride and awe. "I understand now. You are unlike any species I have known. Courage, loyalty, unpredictability, humans are remarkable. And it all started because you were rescued." Anna's eyes softened. "We always stand together. That's what makes us strong. That's what makes humanity respected." Across the galaxy, humans continued their operations. Small squads, clever strategies, precise strikes, and protective measures. Alien forces learned quickly. Humans were not only capable fighters but also clever strategists. Their unity, courage, and willingness to defend each other gave them an edge no one expected. Eli realized something profound. In the galaxy, strength was often measured by numbers, weapons, or size. But humans proved that the true measure of strength could be courage, unity, and the will to protect one's own. One life saved could inspire an entire civilization to act, and that civilization could change the balance of power across the stars. Anna and her squad returned to the fleet, victorious once again. She looked at Eli, her expression calm but proud. "We always stand together," she repeated. "And the galaxy has learned that about us now." Eli nodded, knowing it was true. He had witnessed humans at their best, clever, fearless, and united. He had seen the ripple of a single act of compassion grow into a force that shaped galactic perceptions. Humanity's reputation was no longer fragile. It was formidable. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation deck, and Eli felt a sense of wonder and humility. Saving one human had revealed the true strength of a species. Not in weapons, not in numbers, but in courage, unity, and loyalty. Anna smiled at him, quietly confident. "We always protect each other. We always fight together. That is our true strength." Eli looked out at the galaxy, understanding at last. The humans he had once underestimated had proven themselves, and their reputation would echo across the stars for generations. They were small yet unstoppable. Fragile yet courageous. Ordinary yet extraordinary. And for Eli that was more than enough. He had seen the birth of a legend, a species that would shape the galaxy, not through domination alone, but through courage, unity, and the willingness to defend one of their own. The galaxy had taken notice.